Hey there, Dave here. Before getting into the episode, I have some cool people that I would like to say thank you to. People like the Top 3 Podcast crew, Chris Nelson, Zolgeek, Colby Moyer, Eric Guess, Rick Firestone, and Jill. These lovely people have all gone to patreon.com/realdavejackson and supported the tube and the podcasts within. You can be just like them by heading to patreon.com/realdavejackson. As little as $2 per month will get you some treats like voting rights on what comes up on episodes of a Top 3 podcast and Tales from the Backlog, bonus episodes and bonus content, and much more. Once again, that's patreon.com/realdavejackson. Check it out. That'd be very cool of you, and you would be my hero. All right, on to the show. Hey everybody, my name is Dave Jackson, and you're listening to Tales from the Backlog, a video games podcast where each week I'm joined by a guest to talk about a game we played. And my guest today is a friend of the show, one half of the 1 Hour, 1 Decision podcast, and habitual golden rule breaker, Chris. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Hey, Dave. Thanks so much for having me. This is awesome. I've been listening to your show for a while, and nice to be on this side of the episodes now. So.
Yeah, man. Likewise. And I've been listening to your show for a while, and I'm glad that you managed to play more than 1 hour of a game and get on the show.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. Today we're going to be talking about The Forgotten City, which is a first-person adventure mystery game developed by Modern Storyteller and published by Dear Villagers in 2021. This is a full game adaptation of an acclaimed Skyrim mod that went by the same name, by the same developer. I never played the Skyrim mod, but we'll get into that in our personal histories. Chris, if you were not stuck in an elevator, if you were riding an elevator with someone and trying to pitch them on The Forgotten City, what would you say?
Well, I don't know how good my pitch would be, but I would probably start off by saying, hey, do you like first-person games where you don't shoot anyone? Mm-hmm. How about if you like to think about choices and literally kill NPCs at the end? Then you need to try Forgotten City.
Yeah, that sounds good. Like, I think I would give the similar type of thing. Do you want a first-person kind of mystery game? Do you want to get to know all of the characters in a game and kind of unravel this mystery? And if you like time loops, it's another time loop game right here. So spoiler policy for The Forgotten City is this game's story is really, really important to it, but it has some really cool setup. Like the premise for this game, I think, is really, really cool. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about kind of what the story does to get you started. And then I think I'm going to stop right after that because this is kind of a mystery. You need to talk to people. You need to learn about all that stuff. So that sounds like a plan. The spoiler section will just be like pretty much all story here. There's not a lot of action and combat, at least not for a while. So before we get into The Forgotten City, like I said, Chris is one half of the 1 Hour, 1 Decision podcast, which is a show that I listen to all the time. So if people listening are not familiar, Chris, would you enlighten them?
Sure. So myself, and as you mentioned, I have a co-host of mine, Tom. So Tom and I play. Our podcast is basically going through the library of Game Pass games. But the concept of this show is that we will play a random game on Xbox Game Pass or something that people recommend that we haven't played, and we'll play it for an hour and decide if we want to keep playing it or not. So yeah, that's kind of the idea. And it kind of came about where I had just recently, I had gotten Game Pass, and I was pretty overwhelmed with all the games. This is like 2 years ago at the time.
Yeah.
So I was pretty overwhelmed, and I saw the surprise me button, and it allowed me to, pick a game, or allowed the system or the service to pick the game for me. So I was like, oh, why don't we try to do a gaming podcast about this? And we're almost 2 years strong going. So
yeah, man. And you guys are rocking with the Quit the Build network over there, and I support what they're doing too. I like the message that Quit the Build is putting out into the gaming world that's full of, gatekeeping and toxicity from time to time, right? And so I like what they're doing, and I love what you guys are doing too. And so I listen to the show. Your episodes are quite short, unlike Tales from the Backlog, which makes it an easy listen. You and Tom are good hosts. And as someone who does like kind of reviews of full games, I'm very jealous that you only have to play an hour to prep for an episode. It's like I fucked up real bad.
Yeah. I mean, look, you're doing the Lord's work by playing a lot of games and going through them very, very diligently. I kudos to you for that. And like I was saying to Eric from the Unlockables, like the stuff that you do is just amazing. So I'm again glad to be part of it, and glad to be part of a game that I can actually talk to you about. That, like you said, that I actually completed. So it's fun.
Yeah, for sure. Your show does a good service for people who have limited gaming time, or people who would kind of make that decision, after an hour or so, like, do I want to keep playing this? I don't really do that, because when I pick a game, I'm pretty sure like already that I'm going to finish it. And sometimes I finish it even if I don't like it after an hour or 10 hours. Yeah. Okay. So I recently just finished Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And I was at hour 50 not liking that game very much. So props to you guys. I enjoy the show, and recommend that everyone check it out. Down in the show notes, you'll find links to 1H1D. You can see everything that they're doing, different game every week. It's a good time. We're going to get started with The Forgotten City by talking about our histories with the game. And so, Chris, I'll turn it over to you first. Was this a surprise me on Game Pass, or did you know about it before you started playing it?
No, actually, this was a recommendation by a fellow podcaster, What the Famicom, actually suggested this game for us.
That's right. Because you guys did an episode on it. I remember that.
Yeah. So, Tom and I had no idea what this game was about. I didn't know until I did a little bit of research for our episode that it was a Skyrim mod. Mm-hmm. I'm glad I didn't play it on the Skyrim mod, because I'm not an Elder Scrolls / Bethesda RPG player, but that's a different story. But yeah, like it was I was genuinely surprised because of the fact that, you are playing a first person game, and your first intent is not to kill everyone. Or actually that's kind of the premise of the game also, right?
You try not to kill everyone.
You try not to kill everyone or anyone. Yeah. And I think that's what really got me intrigued. And Eric from Game Positive was watching me play it like my first hour and told me like, this game has a lot of twists and turns, like definitely give it a shot. And like, I mean, even if he wasn't there watching the stream, like it was definitely intriguing. Like I thought the dialogue was great. Yeah. And, the characters that you meet were all pretty well fleshed out for what it was. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess I was kind of like you, like I didn't know about the Skyrim mod at the time, because at the time I didn't have a computer that could probably even run Skyrim. So why would I care about that?
Because they have like
my laptop that I was rocking with for a long time struggles to run anything that's in 3D. Doesn't matter what year it came out. So yeah. So I didn't hear about the Skyrim mod, and truthfully, I don't really like mods. They stress me out anyway. So I don't really do that stuff. But when it released and immediately went to Game Pass, and it started to bubble up with like that buzz of like, this Forgotten City game is actually really good. Mm-hmm. And I heard about the premise about the golden rule and stuff, and I was immediately like, okay, that sounds great. I will put it on at the time it was like, wait for it to come to a thing that I own, but it came to PlayStation after a little bit. I still didn't buy it, but then I recently bought a PC and I got on Game Pass, and it was like
nice,
good timing too, because at the time we're recording this, it's leaving Game Pass in like a couple of days. So I just got in there. But the other thing I want to mention is that this game was voted on by the patrons of the Tube and Tales from the Backlog. This game won the Dave just got Game Pass, which game should he play poll. So thank you to everybody who patronizes, and thank you for everybody who voted in that. Yeah. Yes. I appreciate you very much. The other thing that kind of interested me in the Forgotten City, and I always try to tell people how long the game is, but this is not a long game. So anytime someone tells me like this game's really good and it's 10 hours or less, sign me up. So I think this one, it took me about 10 hours to get all of the endings too, not just to beat it one time. I went through and got all the endings, straight 10 hours, I think. Kind of similar to your experience there.
Well, I don't know why Game Pass is telling me I paid 15 hours, but I think I must have left the game on. I mean, I know I stink bad at games, but I don't think I'm that bad. But yeah, I mean, I went through and I got I guess the achievement is the canon ending. Yeah. I didn't go back and play for the other endings. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know how I feel about going back and playing a game for the other endings.
I rarely do. It was just in this game, you can just load up a save right before you pick your ending and then just go do whatever it is. So that's fair. I didn't play this game 4 times. No way. So, okay. Game Pass tells me I played this for 4 hours, which is just not possible. So Game Pass is all over the place with us.
Come on, Game Pass.
Yeah. So getting into some kind of opening thoughts here. How do we feel about the Forgotten City? I think I've said it before, but this game's premise is really cool. The idea of the golden rule, which we'll explain here in a bit, hooked me immediately. You said the characters and the writing are all really good. I agree. I love that. I love the voice acting in the game, and like the mystery that you're uncovering, the like couple of mysteries that you're trying to figure out are really compelling. And I enjoyed it the whole time. It was really hard for me to put this game down.
Yeah, 100%. I even right off the bat where you meet and where you meet like Karen, they make fun of the fact that her name is Karen, and it's like it's so like I felt a lot of times as things are happening, I would say something in my head and it would be one of the dialogue choices. I was like, wow, this is great. Like, they really think about like what you might be thinking about it. It was a cool time. It was such a cool time because it wasn't, I wasn't being stressed out like I was like with Doom Eternal, where I was jumping left and right trying to kill everyone on the screen. And I guess it was stressful in a different way, right? Because of the golden rule. Yeah. But yeah, it was like a refreshing game that I played recently. So
it is. It was kind of just like a breath of fresh air between, hyper violent games, which I love. I love me a hyper violent game. But between that, JRPGs that I'm playing at the time, it's just nice to sit down, play through a little mystery story. I had a great time. So let's take a little music break. When we come back, we'll dig into it. So in the Forgotten City, this game opens up in the present day. Your character has just been rescued from a river and kind of wakes up on the riverbank. You start on the shore. That woman named Karen asks you to go into some Roman ruins that are just around the corner. And this was the first time when like you said, my thoughts and the character's dialogue totally matched up, because the character's like, why? Why would I do that?
So true. I just didn't get why. What was I mean, I get it. That's the whole point of the game, is to get you into this.
Yeah, you got to go in there.
Into the ruins. But it was still funny that they they justified it for you, like right out in the open. It's like, okay, you're doing it because she said so, or whatever it is. But
there is some tongue in cheek there from the writers for sure. Like you said, she doesn't. You can ask her name, as you're like, hey, you want me to go in this fucking cave? At least tell me your name. And she's like, I don't want to. And she says her name's Karen, which is like, oh, okay, sure. That's why you didn't want to tell me. It's got to be rough. Shout out to all the Karens out there.
Yeah.
And this is interesting, doing some research here. The original Skyrim mod was set in the Elder Scrolls world, and it was in some Dwemer ruins, not ancient Rome. And then when they decided to make a full version, they made the switch to make it a Roman setting, which is cool. So you pick a starting character class at the beginning, like an RPG thing. I think there's 4. I picked the archaeologist because it said it would give me ancient knowledge, whatever. Archaeologists going into some Roman ruins sounds helpful, right? There's 4 classes, though. Do you remember which one you picked?
I don't. I almost feel like I picked the same thing, but I know I definitely didn't pick there was like an army or a combat person.
Yeah, that gives you a gun.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder like what you can do with that, because I'm sure there's like another ending with that.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that in the spoiler section for sure. Yeah. Anyway, the point is like they ask you to pick a class, but it's not really important. Right. It's not you will not lock yourself out of anything based on the class you pick. It might just come handy in certain situations. That's about it. So you acquiesce and you go in the cave, because of course you do, and you fall down into some water, and you're in the Roman ruins. And this is like kind of as far as I knew before I started playing. You're walking through these ruins, and there's these golden statues everywhere. Mm-hmm. And immediately I noticed like the environmental storytelling in the way those statues are posed and like the expressions on their faces. I was hooked. This is like 5 minutes into the game. I was like, okay, this is good.
Yeah, it was definitely. You're like, what's going on with all these statues? Why are there so many of these things? Like people just like, what's going on? Like there was definitely, like you said, a lot of intrigue. And then you meet Galerius is the first person you meet, right? Yeah. Yeah. And just the whole thing, like even when you're talking to him, he's like, how, like, wait, like you're like, wait, how am I communicating with you? Because I believe you're speaking
Latin. Yeah.
Latin. Yes. Latin to him. And you're like, wait, why am I speaking Latin? And he's like, I don't know, like what's going on here? And so like, you can, again, the writers like got that in, like just to make sure there's no like loops or weird loopholes right there in the writing, which I thought was, kind of clever. So it was just, I also like the fact that there's a follow mode. I don't know if we used that. Yes. Yeah, for sure. It was just nice to be able to like kind of let the game kind of play itself a little bit, but Yeah. So you go into these ruins and yada, yada, yada. You find yourself in the past, in this ancient Roman setting, a couple thousand years in the past. Or I didn't pay attention in history class. I don't know when the Romans were around, but you find yourself in the ancient Roman setting. You talk to Galerius, like you said. You have that exchange about what language you're talking about. Galerius gives you a tour, and that's when you find out you can just press a button and your character will auto follow the NPC, and that frees you up to look around and take in this new setting and not worry about, that constant pet peeve where your character walks faster than the NPC you're with, or slower or whatever. Not a problem here. They thought of a lot of stuff in this game. Yeah. Very thoughtful. Except one puzzle, which was annoying, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, we will, I'm sure. So Galerius takes you to the magistrate, and that's when you learn about the kind of key thing in this game, which is that this community lives under one rule and one rule only, the golden rule, they call it. And it's not the golden rule like do unto others as you wish for them to do to you, or however that goes. It's not that one.
It's that if one person commits any sin, everybody dies.
Yep.
That's how it goes. And they talk about the Roman practice of decimation as kind of an intro to this. And you see there's tablets all over that say the many shall suffer for the sins of the few. And this is the only rule in this society. And I think I played for maybe 30, 45 minutes my first play session, and I was just thinking about all the implications of this. Like, what would it be like to live under this? And when I'm thinking about a game while I'm not playing it, like thinking about the implications of the story setup, that's when I know it's hooked me, right?
Yeah, there's like seeing everyone and like the way the rule works in the game also is interesting because as you proceed further into the game, you realize there are definitely many ways that you can get around that. So
yeah, there's lots of ways that you can get around it, and there's lots of ways that the people are getting around it, the NPCs in the community. And the other part of this, like the mystery part that you first get introduced to, is they explain the golden rule to you, and then the magistrate says, someone here is going to break the golden rule soon. I need to know who so we can prevent it. And that's kind of your task, is to find out which of these, 20 or so NPCs is going to break the golden rule. And they all have motivations for doing it, and they all seem plausible in some way. It's one of the things I really like about this mystery.
Yeah, and on top of all that going on is there's a election, right? There's an election that happens
for the new magistrate. Yeah.
Right, for the new magistrate. And so as you're talking to people, you're trying to figure out who are people going to vote for, and like you see who the parties are that are going to be involved with that too. And it's interesting. It's not just the one who's going to screw up this golden rule. There's other things that are layered into it as well. And you see everyone's like, either they're really pissed off at the magistrate, or they really like, they'll follow him to their ruins, so to speak. So
yeah. And one of the other things I liked about this is that the people there, you have a general idea. Like if I say, Chris, if you sin, you're going to bring death to everyone around you, like they say in the game. You're like, okay, cool. And then if you start to think about it, you're like, okay, well, what is a sin exactly? How do you define that? Is it okay to, is it okay to borrow something and then forget to bring it back? Or do they think that's stealing, et cetera, et cetera? And the people in the game don't know exactly what it is either, because they've only been living there for a short period of time. It's like this, place that they all kind of wound up in, and they don't know how to get out. And so they're trying to figure out, like, okay, we're living under this rule. What does it even mean? And you have to figure that out too as the player.
Yeah. And when the first time, because I didn't break the rule in my first hour, it took me a little bit to realize like what's happening.
I remember that from the episode. Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that, you break the golden rule and then all hell breaks loose, and like you hear this booming voice saying, like essentially what you said before, where
the
it's
many
like,
shall suffer for the sins of the few.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're just like, what's going on? And then you see these like golden archers going after you and like taking out everyone. And it was just like freaky. And the funny thing was, I heard that there was supposed to be a twist. I thought that was the twist initially, that the time loop was the twist. But as we go further along, you're like, oh, okay, that was just one of many things that happens in this game. And it was the loop part of it was interesting, because then again the dialogue changes, because now you're like, I've already gone through this already. I know what you're going to say and blah blah blah. So it's cool.
Yeah, real quick, back to the like you as the player playing under the golden rule too. It affects you too. And I like how it kind of alters your behavior and makes you think about your behavior. If you come into this with the play style that you play Skyrim with, where you're like, that guy turned his back. I'm going to steal everything. You're going to break the golden rule. And there are a lot of like more nuanced ways that you can break the golden rule too. Like one way late in the game really shocked me. And I'll talk, and I was like, what the fuck happened? Like, this is all, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'll tell you in the spoiler part, but yeah, you always kind of feel that pressure because there's a lot of times, especially like this game kind of plays a little bit like Skyrim. So if you get back into that mindset of like, oh, that NPC insulted me. Well, guess what? I'm going to, shoot you in the head with an arrow. You can't do that in this game.
Yeah. I mean, it makes you wonder when you have the option to lie in the game too. It's like, should I do that? It's probably not a good idea because maybe I will enact the golden rule.
Yeah.
So, or break it. So
yeah.
It definitely makes you think about what you do carefully. And then, like I said, that's why I was trying to be a good little boy at the beginning of the hour. Like, it didn't, it becomes a detriment essentially as you're progressing through the game though, because you sometimes do need to force that loop.
Yeah, that's true. So like we said at the beginning in the elevator pitches, this is a time loop game, and the time loop is kind of triggered when somebody or you breaks the golden rule, and you have to go reset the loop. And I won't say how because it's kind of cool to figure that out for yourself. But you got to reset that loop. One thing I really like about this game is that it respects your time as a time loop game. Like it will remember things that you've done. And so let's say you solved a side quest earlier in the game, and then you had to reset the time loop. You don't have to do that side quest again. You can just tell Galerius right at the beginning. You're like, hey, bro, here's this medicine. Give it to somebody. It'll help him out. And he'll be like, all right, sure. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but yes, I will. I just want to help. I'm a good dude. So he runs off and does it. You don't have to do that side quest. It's great. Right. It's a nice touch in a time loop game.
Absolutely. That's, again, they just did a great job of like just little, what do I say, creature comforts maybe, or just so you're not
little quality of life.
Yeah, exactly. Quality of life issues, like where you're just not having to repeat things over and over again just to repeat them. And it's nice. They really did take their time to think this through. And considering that there's multiple endings to this game, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and this is a very small dev team. Like I think that this took them quite a long time to put together this finished version of it, and they didn't cut any corners. I'll say it's really thorough in the way that they've been really thoughtful with. This is a time loop game. How do we not make the time loop annoying? This is a game where you have to talk to people. How do we make that interesting? All of those things have been covered. It's really well made. So you are on the hunt for who's going to break the golden rule and other, associated mysteries. Like, can you even prevent this? Can you stop someone from sinning? What does it even mean to break the golden rule? How do you do that? Where are the lines drawn? And by the way, you're stuck in ancient Rome. How the hell do you get back to the present day?
Yeah.
You can ask people around town. You can be like, hey, how do I get like back to the future or whatever? And they're like, man, I don't know what you're talking about. Like,
exactly. They even make fun, or I don't know if it's make fun of, but they point out the clothes that you're wearing too.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, you're a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Here, so. But I said it in the opening thoughts, like, I don't want to say much more about the story and the mystery, but it was really compelling the whole way through. All of the little side quests that come up that you have to solve, all of the, you'll find along the way times where, okay, this character is gonna break the golden rule. How do I stop them? All of those things were really, really fun. And I had a blast just kind of uncovering what's going on here.
Yeah. It's good times. Good times to be had with this.
For sure. So we will take another break. We'll get back into what it's like to actually play the Forgotten City. So the Forgotten City is built on kind of the bones of Skyrim, especially in its early days. And you can definitely tell in a lot of ways. This obviously looks a lot better than Skyrim. It's been modernized in a lot of ways. I haven't played Skyrim in at least 10 years, so I don't know. I can't tell you definitively like if it feels the same, but it sure feels the same as I remember Skyrim feeling. You know, running, jumping, using a bow and stuff like that. How about you? Have you played Skyrim recently at all?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
I remember in college watching a friend play Oblivion. No, that came before Skyrim?
Yeah, Oblivion was before.
Okay. I remember watching my friend play Oblivion, but like that's like burned into my head. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of good naps when I was watching that game, though. So I was saying that. But I do remember like the conversation system looking very similar to this.
Yeah.
And like just like the feel of the game, to your point, has that kind of vibe.
Yeah. And the one place where I really noticed it was when you're talking to an NPC, the way that conversation is framed or blocked, I want to say, looks exactly like it.
Absolutely.
Except the faces look better. The textures are modern, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I like what do they always, I feel like they always turn around and they look at you like in that way.
Yeah. They're always doing something and they have a little turning around animation. Yeah. The one thing I will say, if we're talking about visuals real quick, is, like you said, for the most part, the player models or the character models look pretty good. But for some reason, they don't know how to make pinkies. I don't know if you noticed. I didn't notice the pinkies.
Their pinkies were like always like like messed up. I don't know what it was about that, but that was the one thing I got. It was very strange when you see it, you're like, oh, wow, what the heck happened there?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I guess if we're talking about the way it looks, we can just continue with the character models, and the faces look mostly good, but the animations for faces are very Skyrim Bethesda jank. There's some weird, if someone wants to look off to the side when they're thinking or something, it looks kind of weird. Yeah. But I thought the faces themselves all look pretty good.
Yeah.
And you're going to spend a lot of time talking to people in this game, so they definitely put some focus on that. Yeah.
It was. Sometimes the hair was kind of weird especially on the women. The hair kind of looked off, but yeah, I think overall it was fine. Again, like to your like you mentioned earlier, a very small team. So for them to get these character models in and do what they did, like the writing was just like leaps and bounds. Like I didn't really care too much.
Dude, Bethesda should hire these people to write for their games, because the writing is of a quality that Bethesda hasn't seen in a long time. Mm-hmm. So
absolutely.
On visuals, I think the environments in the game look incredible, like really, really good, especially indoor places. There's always fires and stuff inside, and the reflections and the firelight and all of that always looked awesome. Some of the no spoiler antagonists that you meet are real creepy and cool. The way they're designed. I just came out of this thinking like it's a really good looking game, and it's a pretty small game. Like the world that you're inhabiting is pretty small. This isn't a giant open world game. So they really focused in on making these indoor spaces look great. There's not that many of them. They made them all look really good. The water looks really good. All that stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I believe this game was done in Unreal.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. Let's check.
I believe it was an Unreal game. So they've already gotten a step ahead with Bethesda because the Bethesda engine is not great looking.
Yeah, Unreal 4. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it was, like they did, again, it just kudos to them for doing what they could with what human resources that they had developing this game.
100%.
Really cool. Really cool.
I think the kind of small scope of the game really helps in a lot of ways. I've kind of said in the past that I think time loops and roguelikes and stuff are a way for small indie teams to get more game out of less, stuff that they have to make, basically. Right. But this game never felt like we're doing a time loop because we can pad our game out. Never felt like that.
Yeah. There was purpose to it. There was absolutely purpose to it. Oh my God. When you said a roguelike, I was like, oh my goodness, did I just play and like a roguelike?
No, I don't think so. Not this.
It is not a roguelike. No, because you keep the stuff that you gain throughout your loops as well. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, and if someone wants to push their glasses up and yell at us and say it is a roguelike, I don't care. I don't want to listen to it. Yeah. So, yeah. So playing the game feels like a simplified version of Skyrim. If you think about, walking around Skyrim, looting containers, sneaking, shooting a bow and arrow, all of that stuff is in this game. It's just a lot less. It's really focused on talking to people. There is combat in the game, but it's not very frequent. Like I said, you can get a character that starts with a gun, or there are a couple ways to get bow and arrows in the game.
Yep.
But you're not going to need them very often, very rare. There's a context-sensitive kick button that's really funny when I saw that prompt come up.
I don't think I've ever done that, actually, in the game.
Okay, I'll tell you after the spoiler wall then.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a ranged combat, like bow, and I assume the gun. I never tried it, a ranged combat system, but I believe you can beat the game without ever using a weapon. If I'm just thinking about how the endings go, I think you can do it.
Even with the canon game ending. Maybe
not the canon ending, but you can finish the game. You can get an ending.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And not like a joke ending, but
right. Right.
So
okay.
Yeah. And the last thing I wrote down about, playing the game is that there are lots of nooks and crannies to explore, and I always felt really good about what I found. Never really felt let down by finding a secret room or a new passage or something like that. It was always pretty fun.
The one thing I will say that was kind of annoying was the jars that you would pick up. Because randomly throughout the world, you'd pick up jars, and the gameplay allowed you to rotate the jars. And
yeah.
And you're like, oh, cool. So I thought it was kind of like Resident Evil, where it's maybe one of them has a key underneath it or something like that. Not a single one of them had that. And I was so annoyed by it. I was like, why am I picking these jars up? It's so stupid.
Those are for pick this up and check out this cool, art asset that we made. Check out this ancient Roman vase. It's kind of like a little digital museum in that way.
Yeah. Okay. I can give them that.
Yeah.
But
so, I mean, sometimes the exploring around will just get you a treasure chest that has some coins in it, but you're going to need those coins.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't really a game where you're going to, like Skyrim, you're not going to end up being just mega fucking rich in this game. Whatever coins you find, you're going to need them. So always feels good. And go ahead.
No, I was saying there are some ways to get a lot of coin quickly, but it's you need to progress pretty far into the game to get it. So
yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, anything else about kind of the gameplay? There's a zip line system that's kind of useful once or twice. I don't know, anything else that's kind of noteworthy about what it's like to actually play?
The only thing I would say, because first person, there's I guess there's some stealth mechanics in the game. I generally do not like playing stealth in first person because it's just frustrating because you don't have, good bearings about where you are in the game, and it can be frustrating at times. But other than that, it was nice because it almost felt like, even though it wasn't it was open world, but still kind of railsy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a tiny open world.
Yeah,
but there are places to explore, but there's usually only one way to kind of I guess you can pick what quest lines you want to pursue,
Right.
and kind of follow whichever way you want to go. But there are definite like important quests that you need to do to kind of open up other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that you would be able to like beat the game on your first loop like you could in some other time loop games, I guess.
Yeah, that would be. I don't think it's possible to beat the game in the first. Could you?
Yeah, I don't know, because this game has a like a ticking clock, like a day night cycle, and I'm just not sure. Anyway, it's pretty simple gameplay wise. It's obviously not like the big focus is making a game that's like super fun to play, but what little gameplay there was, I thought was just fine, and it helps with the, continuing the story.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we kind of talked about the way the game looks earlier, but I think that the sound design and voice acting and music is also worth talking about here, especially the voice acting.
Yeah.
I thought there's not that many characters. Like, I would guess that there's 20 to 25 in the game, and all of them have a super distinct voice, very distinct in some cases. And I thought everyone did a pretty good job with the character they're voicing.
Absolutely. Everyone like the Greek shopper, shop merchant.
Yeah.
He was great. They're like, just everyone that you meet, I thought they didn't phone it in, which was, I appreciated. And even the voice that, the booming voice that tells you the golden rule is broken. Like, that was great. It scares the hell out of me when you first hear it.
The first time. Yeah.
You're like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah. I thought there were a couple of voice actors that were kind of noteworthy. The voice actor who voiced Julie, who's the guy in the cage, that was really good. And that's a tough line to walk because he's playing a kind of mentally impaired character. He didn't go simple Jack with it from Tropic Thunder. I think he did it pretty well.
Yeah.
And there's like a gruff kind of soldier, like centurion type guy. He's got a real raspy voice. I liked his voice a lot.
Yep.
Yeah. But there really isn't anyone who I'm just like, they just found an intern from like accounting. And, it's kind of surprising too, because this is a small indie team. I don't know how much budget they had for voice actors, but they sound like professional voice actors.
Yeah. I mean, again, like, I don't know how they did it, but hey, good on them to find some very talented voice actors to do their job.
The other thing to mention with voices is as you're walking around the game, you're going to hear these whispers, and they're creepy as fuck. And I don't want to get into them too much, but they are creepy. I never got used to them. They're really well done.
I guess in a way they're part of the gameplay too, aren't they?
Yeah.
But it is a very very creepy gameplay mechanic for sure.
It is. And sometimes, I think you guys said this in your episode too, sometimes you'd be like getting like trying to work out a puzzle, and the whispers would say like, look behind the closet.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. I mean, I've been trying for 5 seconds. I would have appreciated another 5 seconds, but okay.
Oh man. Yeah. It was totally, one of those where, you kind of want to have the opportunity to just think about it. But then at the same time, there were other puzzles or things like that just, they left you to your, to just figure it out yourself. And I'm like, okay, well, where's my whisper now?
Exactly. Yeah. Really well done, really creepy. They serve a good purpose in the story too, but it had to be mentioned if we're going to talk about sound in this game. The other thing is the music. What did you think of the music in the Forgotten City?
I thought it was fine. Like, I didn't think of it as like, it wasn't like the intro to Outer Worlds or anything like that. Like, it was, it served its purpose. Like, it got you into the setting.
Yeah.
And it served its purpose there. It didn't make me go on and try to find the soundtrack on YouTube or something like that. So,
yeah. Yeah, 100%. I'm with you. It's a cinematic soundtrack that's like,
Right.
I would liken it to, I'm never going to go look up the OST for a Marvel movie on YouTube. And that's kind of how I felt here, even though like the OSTs in Marvel movies fit the movies.
Yeah.
Sounds good, but it's just not super memorable. And like you said, it fits in the setting. I wrote down, it's just kind of generic ancient world music. A lot of horns, a lot of big, booming things. But it sounds good. They didn't do a bad job. It's just not going to be, on my work playlist when I listen to video game music. There were a couple times in the game where the music didn't match what was happening, and it was really kind of jarring. Like I'd be exploring somewhere and like frantic combat music would start, and I'd be like, whoa, what the fuck's happening? Like looking around and there's nothing happening. It's just, audio got the wrong track got played or something like that. Or maybe something was happening like elsewhere in the world. Cause again, it's like a pretty small level. It could have been just like someone's about to break the golden rule somewhere else and I'm just not there and the music kicks in, but I have no idea why. Happened a few times.
Yeah, it's possible because there are like you mentioned before, there are a lot of things that are happening at the same time. So maybe and as time is progressing throughout the day, that's going to happen. So it's possible.
Yeah, but I don't know. Music's okay. You've heard it throughout the episode here.
Yep.
It's good. Sounds good. But like we said, just not super memorable. So before we get into talking spoilers for The Forgotten City, we got to answer the last question for the non-spoiler part, which is, Chris, who would you recommend this game to?
Who would I recommend this to? Honestly, anyone that's looking for because I feel like this game you could kind of play couch cooperatively too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you could.
But definitely anyone that's looking for something different. It's not a very fast-paced game, but at the same time, it's a short game. Like, you could definitely beat this over a weekend. And like I said, the writing is great. If you like good writing, especially in video games, like check this out. Like there's no harm. And like, while it's still on Game Pass, give it a shot. Like otherwise, I think it's still pretty cheap too, right?
Yeah. So by the time people hear this, it'll be off Game Pass. But okay. I think on PlayStation, the full price is $30, maybe okay. $20-$30. It's not a full price game.
Check it out. It's still a good time.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of agree. Like if you enjoy good writing in video games, if you enjoy a good mystery and a good kind of tight story, I didn't mention this before, but the story spins a wide web and then ties it all up really well. I feel like this isn't a Lost situation where they just spun out of control and had no answers for the questions they ask. I think this game does a really good job of wrapping it all up. So it's a really satisfying story. The gameplay is simple, but it's not bad. And yeah, I recommend it for pretty much anyone who enjoys those things about games. And if you need to be, satisfied with action, combat, and stuff like that, you maybe look elsewhere.
Yeah, look elsewhere if you want that.
Yeah, but I think I say, kind of often on the show that if you're listening to a show like this, you probably do appreciate a game with a good story. So yeah, give it a shot. The Forgotten City is pretty fucking good. So a little housekeeping before we do break that spoiler wall. First things first, Chris, where can people find 1H1D? What do you guys have going on besides the podcast? Because I know you do streaming and stuff like that too.
Yeah. So we are on Twitter at TC1H1D, and our podcast is on most audio platforms, and we're on YouTube under the QTB Network YouTube channel. So all of our latest episodes drop there, and we'll be because we're kind of making up some time. We've been releasing bracket episodes. So there might be one, there might be two bracket episodes that have dropped since this episode gets released. Check those out. That's when we take all the games that we've played, put them in a bracket, and figure out like which one of those games in that bracket would win it all, like that we would want to play again, kind of thing.
Nice.
So, but yeah, and then we stream on Twitch. We don't have a schedule or anything like that. We just randomly pop on twitch.tv/1h1d, and check out all the other awesome QTB stuff that's on their website. quitthebuild.com and /network. So they got some great stuff there too. Not just us. There's other great stuff there. So
yeah. I appreciate Quit the Build, and like I said before, the positivity and the kind of just good vibes about, because if you're on gaming Twitter and stuff like that, there's a lot of angry people out there. So I appreciate that. You guys, we're angry people. I've never heard that. I think you guys do a really good job too. Like I said, short show talking about the first hour of a game, first impressions. I appreciate what you guys do, and I think everyone should check it out. Look down on the show notes for a link to Quit the Build and 1H1D. As far as Tales from the Backlog goes, same things as always. If you haven't been enjoying the show, if you've enjoyed this episode so far, consider leaving a rating and review if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, Podcast Addict, and other platforms that allow that. Those are the big three, I think. We have a Discord server where people are talking about games and stuff, perhaps talking about the Forgotten City this week. And I have another show called a Top 3 Podcast where we do top 3 lists. And if we're talking about top 3 time loop games, this might be in there. Might be a little too gaming specific for that show, but there's another endorsement for the Forgotten City there. So check out a Top 3 Podcast. Thank you for listening thus far. We are going to take a break. When we come back, it's full spoiler time for the Forgotten City. All right, Chris and I are back, and it's time for spoilers for the Forgotten City. Chris, let me just ask you a simple question before we kind of dive in. How long did it take you? Did it take you until the game told you to figure out that this was hell, or not hell, the underworld, and that Karen was Karen, the rivermen?
Right. I didn't. So I think I think I figured that out pretty early on, but I was like jokingly like, "Oh, watch, I'm dead this whole time," kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the Karen thing, I didn't really follow history too well. So, and like Greek and Roman mythology and stuff like that. So that the Karen, like that didn't click for me until they explained it. So, but yeah, like, when that was the twist, I was like, oh my God, who wrote this? M. Night Shyamalan? What's going on here? Like, what is this? Like, this is, I mean, but the thing was, like, it didn't annoy me that much. Like, it was because everything else that like happened, like the characters that were involved and stuff like that, it was still pretty enticing for me to keep going and just see what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
No. So.
Yeah. Totally. Like I said this, I feel like I've been saying this a lot recently, but I don't catch twists ever. I will never predict a twist. Yeah, I don't read into things. I'm just always along for the ride. Even if I'm taking notes for a podcast later, this in hindsight seems like a fairly obvious twist to see coming. You know, you talk to all the people around, all of them are like, yeah, I remember a fire, and then I was in a river, and then I came here and we can't escape here, and all of that stuff. And I was like, in hindsight, should have seen it coming, but didn't. I was blindsided by it when it came up. And Karen got past me because I know a little bit about the mythology, but more importantly, I guess, I played Hades not that long ago, and Karen's, you know, a big NPC in that game, but they pronounce it differently. So I think that tripped me up, not pronouncing it Charon or something like that. So I didn't see any of this coming. I was totally blindsided by it.
Yeah. I mean, it was still, I guess it was fine. I thought the bigger twist was the fact that the magistrate was keeping everyone there. Like, yeah, just so totally. He was like the one that like wanted to uphold the golden rule because it keeps him in power. Like it was for selfish reasons and not for like the benevolent leader that he portrays himself to be. So, yeah.
So he thinks, he likes the kind of life that he's living as the magistrate. And he knows that at the end of the day, someone breaks the golden rule, but it doesn't matter because he set up this time loop thing with, Proserpina, the goddess in the temple there. And he, has figured out a way to create this time portal and loop to the back of the day. And he wants to preserve the status quo because it keeps him in power and he enjoys the life of being the magistrate. And yeah, that first conversation you have with him where like you get some clues that like maybe he might not be up to any good. And there's a lot of ways to get this conversation to begin with him. But the first time you do, and he's like, yeah, I'm in control of this whole thing. Like, you think there haven't been other people like you that have come here, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I'm preserving this. I'm in total control. There's nothing you can do to stop this. And I was like, that's another thing. Never saw that coming at all.
Yeah, I guess maybe I didn't read too much. Like, as you're saying that, I'm like, oh, wow. He kind of like laid out his plan right there, like in the beginning when you first meet him. But yeah. I guess maybe the whole thing with him having like a missing daughter and then like his other daughter, like trying to like all worried about the situation. And then again, another twist to his character is that he friggin' like locked his own daughter up in that tower
in the cistern.
Like,
yeah.
It's like, what the heck?
Yeah, that was a big shock because for a long time you can't find a key to get into that cistern. And I thought, I think it's because Julie said there's treasure up there. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go find Julie's treasure. And then there's this woman just like chained up there. I was like, oh, what the fuck? Yeah. And then as soon as I saw her, because in the back of my head, I thought Scintilla is probably still alive, but I don't know where. And I definitely didn't expect her to be up there.
Yeah. And is it because she knew that he was doing? Is that why he locked her up? I forget.
She wanted to escape, and escaping will break the golden rule. She found a way out.
Oh, right. That's
how you get one of the endings, or two of the endings, is to escape with her.
Right.
So, how did the golden rule first get broken in your game?
Oh man. I can't remember now. I think it was when I stole something. I think it was when I did that.
Okay. There is a quest where you need to steal something. I think it's the medicine you need to steal from the kind of sleazy merchant guy.
Yeah. Oh, I hate that guy.
The first time it got broken in my game was when the assassin shows up. And if you don't talk your way out of that, he'll shoot you with an arrow, and that breaks the golden rule.
That was it. I'm sorry. That was it. Now that you said that, yes, that was the time that I got shot and it started over. And yeah, that was also pretty clever when like how you save the girl from the
temple that's falling apart.
And having the thief or the assassin go in there, and it still didn't break the rule because you didn't do it. Yeah, it was an accident.
Yeah. So, but it kind of gets into that gray area. I don't know if you know this, but you can talk to the girl, the baker that you save.
Yeah.
After that. And you can tell her, like, I knew that would happen, and that breaks the golden rule.
Oh, that makes sense.
She asks you, because I think you have to talk to her for something to finish a quest or something like that. And you have to basically, like, lawyer talk your way out of it or politician talk your way out of it. She's like, did you know that would happen? And I think you have to say something like, you know, if I admitted it, that would be breaking the golden rule, wink, wink. And she's like, oh, wink, wink, I understand.
Yeah.
And then you go your merry way. But if you say like, yeah, I knew that would happen, instant golden rules broken.
Okay. I didn't break that one.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's cool how they've kind of programmed that gray area into it. And you're always just like pushing up against it.
Yeah.
Stealing from that guy though, once I realized that like once the golden rule is broken, you can steal because you'll keep whatever you stole in the next loop. So once the golden rule was broken, I ran over to his stall, grabbed the shit, and then booked it for the time portal.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to say the archers are pretty bad. They're pretty bad aim shots. So
yeah, there was a couple times when I got frustrated because there were too many of them.
Yeah.
For what I needed to do, but it's not hard to run back to the portal.
No, not at all. But it was still the panic that happens.
Yeah. The first time it broke and I was like, that booming voice comes out and the statues come to life. I didn't know that from like, I didn't watch any videos about this game or anything. I didn't watch any streams. So the first time that happened, I was like, oh, what? Like, what do I do? And then the quest marker's like, follow the magistrate to the time portal. I'm like, where's the magistrate? Where's the time portal? I don't know where any of this is. Because I can see how you made it an hour without it being broken, but it got broken within my first hour for sure. And I wasn't familiar with the map yet and stuff like that.
Yeah. I can, even just traversing and then like that freaking merchant, man, that guy pissed me off so much.
I forget his name.
Merchant.
Yeah. He's a dick.
He's such a dick. I think I just had, what's his name? I had it up here. Decius.
Yeah.
Decius. Did you get to, did you do the quest for him in the, where you had to go into that, temple?
Oh, with the golden bow?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You need that for the canon ending. So yeah, I did that.
Yeah. I like that after you, like, if you don't give him the bow and then you come back out and he's like, well, how'd you get out? And then it's like, he's like, cool. Well, and then I think you can sell him back his bow or something like that. Oh, no. It was
you replace it on the statue. You take the real one and you put the fake one up there.
It was like you basically do the same thing that he did to you. Oh, to convince you to get into the into that temple. Like, so he's like, oh, he's I think you basically tell him like, oh, I'll tell you this, but for a price kind of thing. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll do it. And then you just tell him basically what he told you. And he's like, oh, what the hell? Like, why did you do that? it's like, take that, sucker. So it was so satisfying to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was so scared during that quest.
Oh man.
Number one, because when they tell you, they're like, you need to go steal a golden bow from the statue of a goddess in this temple. And I was like, that's going to break the golden rule 100%.
Yeah.
It doesn't. But the other part was when you accept that quest, it gives you a warning on the screen that says like, this quest, be careful if you don't like horror games or action combat. And I was like, I don't like horror games. This is, what are we going to do here? Right. Luckily it's not scary, like not in the slightest, but
is this the beginning of when you notice the statues starting to look at you, follow you?
I never noticed that. I never
really.
Yeah, I would hear, the sound of a statue moving.
Yeah.
But I never noticed them I never noticed their eyes following or their faces following.
It wasn't their eye, it was their heads. Like you would turn around, they're looking at you the entire time. Like, oh shit. It just gave me those creepy vibes. And then the one with the lady, inside the.
Yeah. Oh. That's what you get into in that quest is that takes you in the house where she has all of those, they call them the skinned statues that she's been experimenting on. And that was creepy. Yeah. I guess that's where the horror game comes. Not like there's things jumping out from the dark at you.
No.
Horrifying to think about what's going on in there.
Yeah. She's gone mad and she starts, I guess she's trying to save these people. But in doing so, she's skinning them alive. And
yeah, basically. Because it's you get the revelation here that the golden statues are not solid gold, and that there's people. There's a layer of gold, but their bodies are under there, and they're still conscious.
Yeah,
and that's why they can. I guess their heads can follow you. And so she, like you said, she's trying to save them by, peeling the gold layer off, but it's attached to their skin, so she is effectively skinning them. And I ran into one of those skin statues the first time down in the lower cistern, trying to find something down there. And that was really creepy to have this thing just run full speed at you, but at the same time, it's asking you to kill it.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn. That's where the kick button comes up. You can use the kick button on those things.
Right. Yes. Oh, I did kick them a lot. You're right.
Yeah. You gotta get them away from you.
Yeah. Because I was always trying to aim for the head, and sometimes it didn't work. So getting those kicks to get that precious time to pull that arrow is important for sure.
Yeah, the first time I found one, I didn't have the golden bow yet. I didn't have any bow yet, so it was just kick, run. I tried to kick it down a pit, didn't work, and so eventually. I just thought these are unkillable enemies. I don't have a weapon, so I can't kill these. I just have to kick, run away. You're down there, you're trying to find I think it's a pendant or something like that you find on a skeleton. Once I found that, I was like, okay, this must be the important item. I'm getting the hell out of here.
So good. It was again, such a creepy moment in the game. And again, well done. Because you could you can understand her intentions, but now she's just gone insane for trying to she's like, no, there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. And I think the person that is on basically her operating table is one of her lovers or something like that.
Yeah, it's she fell in love with one of the statues because it's really beautiful, and then she's convinced. That she can peel off the gold and save this woman. Right. And then they can live together, et cetera. But she's, like we said, she's skinning them alive. And all they want for you is to be dead. Yeah. And if you kill them, they'll go, thank you as they die and stuff.
It's kind of sad.
Crazy.
But it also makes no sense. If they're already in purgatory, where are they going to go after this?
That's what I was thinking. I don't know enough about the mythology to know if there's, because I know that the Greek underworld has different levels. If Hades taught me anything, it's that there's different levels. And I'm not sure about the Roman or the Egyptian or the what's the other one, the Sumerian.
Sumerian, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that to say what happens if someone gets killed in here. Who knows? Yeah.
I guess that's another twist that you find out too, right? Is that this has happened, this has been going on for centuries.
Yeah.
So
save that for the ending a little bit, but
okay.
there's a couple other like things before we get into the ending that I think are really cool. I loved at the beginning how we didn't mention Al, the guy you're going into the ruins to try to find. I loved how one of the first things you find before you even go in the time portal is you find Al's dead body. He killed himself and he's a golden statue. And there's a note telling you like, don't go in the time portal. I've been through like hell and torture and everything. Don't go in the time portal. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going in that time portal. So thanks a lot, Al.
I don't have any other choice here. So whatever.
Yeah. Any other interesting ways that the golden rule got broken that you know of before we get into kind of talking about the endings, I think?
I mean, the vote I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you let it play out without getting involved at all, you know that the sleazy multicolored eye guy wins.
Yeah.
And immediately it breaks the golden rule because he tries to kill someone right there, right? I believe.
Yeah, because after he wins, he basically says like, no more golden rule, we're abolishing it. And old Magister, I sentence you to death.
Mm-hmm. And
they kill him. And that breaks the golden rule. And it's kind of funny if you see it happen or if you're nearby, all of his friends, who are like drinking his Kool-Aid because he's been telling everyone that the golden rule doesn't exist.
Right.
All of them are like, what the hell, man? You said there's no golden rule.
Yeah. It's like reflecting real life at times, but you know.
Yeah. Not to get into that. Yeah. So let's see ways. Okay. One way, I think I mentioned this is one I was teasing in the non-spoiler part, that the golden rule got broken is if you have Galerius win the election and he lets Dooley out of the cage, mm-hmm. Dooley will walk out and immediately steal something.
I don't remember him doing that though.
Yeah, he does. Maybe it's not immediately, but he will eventually. And so the golden rule got broken when I was, I forget. Okay, this is a different time. The golden rule got broken when I was like not near them, and it was Dooley stealing something because he just loves cool stuff that he finds. Clearly. Wants to have it.
Needs it. My precious.
The golden rule got broken because of the election one time while I was in the mansion doing that quest with all the golden statues, and that makes it impossible to finish that quest. So I had to reload an old save because I kept dying. That sucked, but you know, just bad timing. I don't know how the developers would have planned around that. Unless it's like, if you're in the mansion, don't let the election happen or something, mm-hmm. but it's on a timer. If you reach the end of the day, the golden rule gets broken. That forces the time loop.
True. One of my pet peeves was the conversation you had with the guy who's about to kill himself.
Oh yeah.
Because, and going back to the whole money thing, there's like certain places where you can find like a bunch of money. Like once you get the arrow or like the golden bow and the arrows, like you can, if you shoot the leaves and stuff like that, they become climbable. Mm-hmm. And then, there's always like this chest that has like 1,000 denarii. I forgot what the name of their currency was, but and so you can just keep collecting that until you can tell this guy to, you know, don't kill himself, whatever. But what was interesting is after he does like kill himself that first time, like when you jump through that guy's basically because he makes a hole in the guy's roof and then through his I think it goes right into his pool or something like that.
Yeah. The guy who's challenging for the magistrate position. Yeah.
Right. And, you know, just like, I don't know why I thought like, oh, why don't I just jump through here too? But it was interesting, like how your mindset becomes like, all right, well, why do I like, you know, try this out? Because if I die, I can just start over. Like you could do. There's some experimentation that happens right throughout the game, which is pretty cool.
Speaking of that, if you know, however you get into that guy's house, you can turn the vines outside into gold and climb them. Yeah. And when you go talk to him, he'll be like, "Did you just scale the wall of my house and come in here?" And if you do the jump from the temple way up above, he'll say like, "Did you just jump from all the way up there down into my fountain?"
Is again, like they just did a good job of covering all their bases there.
Yeah. So. And nice sense of humor from the developers without being Borderlands or something like that. You know?
Right. Yeah. Who is your favorite character?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see what's his name? Galerius. I was surprised to see him become like the ultimate good guy type. I'm not sure I had for a long time in the game, the magistrate was my favorite character because I enjoyed his dialogue. I enjoyed talking to him. I like the priestess lady. She was interesting. And then she becomes, you know, kind of she tells you what's going on. That bathhouse that you go in is really, really beautiful. Like one of the most beautiful places in this game. And I like how before you go in, she says like, "Follow me into the bathhouse," but not that close. Like stay a little bit behind so people don't get any ideas.
Yeah. It's just such a, again, they had fun writing for this game. Yeah,
totally.
For sure.
What about you? Who are some standouts?
Not the gladiator, but the centurion that you get the book. That you get the book of like everyone's names and like where they live and stuff like that. The one that like that follows the magistrate. Like I thought he was pretty cool.
That guy.
Just because like he's trying to do the right thing, and like even like the way that he got there was like him trying to save people, and like obviously him dying because of that. So I thought he was pretty cool. Scintilla was cool too, because you know that like blew open like everything for me, because like what the heck, like this guy is just pure evil. Like he's just he's just a big jerk. But like I mean, like we talked about, like I think everyone had their like you can empathize with most of the characters in this.
Yeah, totally.
Minus Decius. That guy can go.
Yeah. There's only maybe 3 characters that are like pieces of shit in here. But everyone else is all right. Enjoyed them. Let's see. So I guess before getting into the endings, and kind of what we learn, like I wrote down just like a question here. Once you find out that this is the underworld, and it's being ruled over by whatever name the people have been giving it, it kind of made me think, like, at the time, it made me think, like, is it worth it to take the golden rule away in the underworld? I mean, does the fact that they're all dead already mean that, like, you know, if they're losing this chance at an afterlife under this like oppressive golden rule, is that necessarily like a bad thing now that we know that they're all dead? I thought that. And then they answered it like with the ending. They totally explained why this is happening and why, like, no, these people actually do deserve, you know, even though they're dead, they deserve a chance to kind of experience the underworld without this kind of oppressive thing, I thought.
Yeah. A lot of questions, even when you meet the guy that lives all the way at the underneath the city. You know, he poses a lot of questions to you about, you know, about life and this rule. And you just, again, like that's what's just like very cool about this game, is the kind of questions that they make you think about. And it was cool. And then be to be able to ask those kind of questions to the creator of all this is also.
Yeah, totally. So when I first started, I thought, this must be like a utopia because nobody's sinning. No one's stealing from each other.
Right.
Nobody's, nobody's cheating each other. No one's killing each other. It must be incredible. And I really like how they go and they give you all of these different ways that people are still being shitty to each other. They're just not killing each other. There's Decius is kind of upcharging with medicine. Someone who's like dying and he's like, nope, I, supply and demand, stuff like that. The kind of indentured servitude that, the challenger, I think his name's Malleolus. I can't remember his real name.
That's right. Malleolus.
The way that he gets people into into debt and makes them work for 30 years to pay off their debt. Not breaking the golden rule technically because they agreed to the terms, but still just all the ways that people are being really shitty to each other without sinning, which is a nice little, I'm glad they explored it as much as they did,
Yeah. And the other messed up part is they will never complete those 30 years because that loop will keep happening.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's like,
so Sentius is having just a grand day that he keeps repeating, but one of those people poisons themselves every day. I think her name's Yulia. I think.
Yep.
She poisons herself. Her boyfriend or whatever, or was it her brother? Can't remember.
I think it's her. Well, yeah, I think it's her boyfriend.
Yeah, he is going to jump off the temple and kill himself every single day. The other woman who knows what's going on, she's going to just, wander around rambling every day and people are going to tell her to shut up.
Yep.
It's pretty rough when you think about the other guy who's got rheumatism, arthritis.
Oh yeah,
he's just in horrible pain all the time.
Yeah,
until you get him that medicine.
Yeah.
It's only a few people that are having a good day. Centilla's sister's having a horrible day. She can't find her sister.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you think about it that way, and then there's the two magistrate candidates just living it up.
Mm-hmm.
There's Malleolus's bodyguard just doing push-ups all the time. He seems like he's doing fine.
Yeah. He's getting paid. He's fine.
Yeah.
I guess the other thing that was interesting is the fact that the magistrate essentially he knows that there's a loop happening, and he like once you discover his whole plan, he's like, yeah, I knew you're gonna come and do this. And the paradox also is that if we're going into the ending, so to speak, I can talk about it, but
sure.
If you kill him, that makes a paradox, and then you can get out in that way.
Yeah,
from what I understand.
And that's the bad ending, which is if you just kill Sentius yourself, you create the paradox because you killed him. Now he's dead. He won't make the portal. He won't bring you in, etc.
Right.
So I guess we'll just say what happens there. Did you see this ending?
I didn't see that ending. I only saw the one I got, the canon ending, but
okay. So this is the only ending where you wake up outside and Karen is not there. Because apparently doing this and not solving the problem in any way, Karen's not interested, I guess. She's just not there. So Al's out there, and you're still stuck. This is still the underworld. You're still dead.
Yeah.
And Al yells at you for basically dooming both of you to an eternity.
Oh, wow.
Just stuck out in this forest or whatever. Yeah. I felt really bad. And also all the NPCs in the story died because you broke the golden rule by killing Sentius. You disappeared because of the paradox, but all of them got shot by the archers. So bad times.
Bad times indeed.
Yeah.
What a shame.
You mentioned that guy living below the city real quick. I love the idea that he was there already. And I just love that whenever there's a character who's, quote, he's always been here. We don't know what he's doing, but he's always been here. I love that. And I like how this game kind of tackles civilizations building on top of previous civilizations.
Yeah.
And how you kind of discover that by going through the different versions of the underworld, following this tablet. This is all part of the canon ending.
Yep.
So you're in the Roman underworld, of course. That's where the game takes place. You go down into the Greek underworld, and then you meet, what's that guy's name? The Kabash. Kabash throws the tablet down below. Now you're in the Egyptian underworld, and it just keeps going until you're in the Sumerian underworld. And so Egyptians built on top of them, and then the Greeks built on top of them, stole their culture. Then the Romans appropriated their culture and built on top of their stuff, copied their architecture, renamed their gods. And I like how they kind of put this in the game, how this has been happening the whole time. Because I always thought it was like interesting how, the Roman and Greek gods are the same. They just have different names. Always, all the time when I was learning mythology and stuff like that. So the way that they handled that, or kind of brought it up, they don't really make a big stance about it until the end. It was cool. I like that. Yeah,
it's just they did their research for this whole kind of layered civilization, sandwich, I guess. But I can't say enough. It was just really well done. It was just really well done. And it made you think about that whole thing. there was all these great civilizations that were there, and then they fell by some corruption or whatever it is that happened. Just someone else built right on top of them, and then they just took appropriated all their stuff. So it was cool. And then as we talk about the ending, the canon ending, but what are the other endings that you picked up though? Also,
so there's four endings. The other two are both involved with Scintilla and helping her escape.
Oh, right. Yep.
So when you met her, I assume you just told her I would love to help you escape, but I can't right now. Yeah. Because that's the way to keep playing, basically.
Yep.
So there's two things you can do. You can just escape with Scintilla, just the two of you, and that ends the game. And let's see. So ending 2. So either way, you break Scintilla out. Sentius comes up. He catches you doing it. You have the same conversation with him as you have probably had before about how he knows all of this. And you say, well, we're leaving, time for you to die. And he gets real cocky. He's got his armor on and he's like, you have a bow and arrow. I'm wearing Centurion armor. What are you going to do? And you say I can't do much, but she can. And Scintilla sneaks up behind him and sets him on fire. And he burns to death. Yeah, it's really cool.
Dang, okay.
Yeah, she got him. And then if it's just the two of you, you run out and you get an ending, which I wrote down here. The paradox from Sentius dying, you disappear, but Scintilla escapes. You go outside, you meet Al, and you head out through the aqueduct. In all 3 of the remaining endings, you meet Karen again outside.
Okay.
And she gives you a tablet that Scintilla wrote. And if it was just the two of you, her tablet is how she's Dave, thank you so much for helping me escape. I feel horrible about dooming everybody else to, eternal torture in the golden statue life. But thank you. I'm going to try to use my time the best I can, et cetera, et cetera. The other way to do it is if you loop it and you can tell Galerius to gather everybody up in the cistern. Right. Mm-hmm. And you have to get all the other side quests done. Tell him to, save Yulia, win the election, save Julie, all that stuff, because everyone has to be up there. And then you do the same thing. You let Scintilla out. She sets Sentius on fire. You get paradoxed out of there, but all of them escape. And then you get another, it's the same ending, but you get a tablet from Scintilla saying like, thank you so much for helping all of us. It's possible for people to not make it if you didn't complete their side quest. So I forgot to set Dooley free. So he died. Sorry, buddy. And Galerius died too, but everyone else got out.
Yeah.
So that's ending 2 and 3. They're very similar. But one of them is very sad because Scintilla feels guilt for leaving everyone. The other one is nice because she just thanks you for saving everybody.
Yeah.
Then we get to the canon ending, which both of us did. And this was my first ending too. So this one all starts with basically you have to do all the side quests and you have to help Galerius get elected.
Right.
And he has to win by a majority of the voters, which is only the men because it's ancient Rome.
Yeah.
And so I think he has to have like 6 votes, maybe 5 or 6, something like that. And you don't have to do all the side quests, but you have to do most of them.
Right.
By helping people, they will sway their vote because you don't do their side quest. You tell Galerius like, hey, deliver this medicine, yada, 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 do this, do this, do this. And then everyone's like, Galerius saved my life. I'm going to vote for him.
Yeah.
So this was one of the things I had to look up in a guide was how to get Galerius elected. Did you figure this out?
No, I did the same. I looked it up. I was like, okay, especially with the because I thought if I just had him help a couple of them, it would work. But then I was like, oh, like when I read the guide, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like him actively doing the work, they see him doing that, and that sways them in his favor, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But before that, though, you still had to get the other guy to back out.
That's right. You have to get Malleolus to drop out. And I needed a guide for that too. And then when I saw the solution, I was like, oh, Dave, come on, man. All you have to do, you have to go talk to his wife. She's loudly crying upstairs. Like I heard her crying, but the door is locked. And he even tells you where the key is for his house. And I just like, I was like, I got in the house by scaling a wall. I don't need a fucking key. I'm getting out a different way. Right. And all you have to do is pick up that key and unlock the door that she's behind. And then you can basically trick her into giving you the dirt on him.
Yeah. I mean, I went to see her pretty early. Okay. But I didn't have like the letter and all this stuff to kind of like be like confront her like, hey, what's going on? Like, who's this guy really?
Yeah.
And or at least I didn't present it to her. Because like the first few times she was really rude. She was just like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's true. You probably do need some information. You at least need to know that he's, I think the name's Quintius,
yes,
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to know that he's that guy. You might even need the letter that the assassin has. I'm not sure.
I think you're right. At least like, yeah, because I think you confront him with it.
Yeah.
Like you give him the letter, like what's going on with this? Like, and that makes, I don't know if that fully makes him back out. There's something else I forget that you had to give him to finally, for him to be like, okay, I'll back down kind of thing. But yeah, again, it was just still like interesting way to beat a boss, so to speak. Right. So,
yeah, I like the kind of, it's simple, but the manipulation that you're doing in a couple of these things. So trying to get him to drop out. And once that happens, and if you have enough side quests, I just did all of them because I thought they were all pretty interesting. But Once you have enough, Galerius gets elected. He lets Julie out. Julie runs out and immediately steals. So I can't remember. No, you didn't need to do the election in order to open up the temple, which is how you actually beat the game. You just need the tablet.
Because you had to get
Julie,
the tablet.
Julie has the tablet in his jail cell, which is a weird thing for them to be like, we're going to lock you up in jail for the rest of your life, but you can keep this tablet. That's just, you could bash your head open with it, but we trust you.
Yeah. I guess they figured he likes shiny things or whatever. So here you go.
Yeah. So
let him have it.
Yeah. A little kindness for Julie. So that was when when you let him out, you get the tablet, he runs out, he immediately steals something and breaks the golden rule. And I was like, oh man.
I swear I don't remember that, but okay.
Because the whole time he's in the cage, he and Galerius are both like, he wouldn't steal anything. He's fine. He's harmless. And he immediately steals something. So anyway, on to the ending. So you get those tablets. They were not really that hard to come by, I don't think. So you go into the temple, you walk through. I like how you start in the Roman, then the Greek, then the Egyptian, then the Sumerian, and then fucking like future like Blade Runner shit or like Tron. It's like fucking Tron in there.
Tron. That was Tron for sure.
So you go in there, you talk with the Lord of the Underworld, who goes by all those different names: Pluto, Hades, Osiris, etc. The Sumerian one I didn't write down because I can't pronounce it. So and then you have a dialogue boss battle with this god, and it's really hard.
Yeah.
So it really is. Did you make it through this without a guide?
Oh no. Cause what's her name is there. And then you figure out that this is, Proserpina. Yeah. Proserpina's like, she's the one encased in that glass. She's been the one that's been talking to you this entire time. Through the statues. And then like, I mean, the one thing I was like, okay, she says like, break the glass, grab my crown.
Yeah.
I did that before I was like, okay, I found a guide after that, but it like even before that, like the kind of the tree that you're talking through with him and like trying to go through this philosophical battle with him. And he's just like, basically just like shutting you down in every corner.
Yeah.
You're just like, damn. This guy has an answer for everything.
Yeah, he does. So, did you do the thing where you break the glass and steal the crown?
Yeah, I grabbed the crown, and I think it caused a loop. And then you came back and you presented that crown to him. He's like, "Well, how did you do that?" And it's like, "Well, I have these special skills.
I'm something of a god myself."
Yeah. So
I couldn't do that.
Really?
I broke the glass and I grabbed the crown and I couldn't escape. There's just too many of the archers.
Okay.
Maybe only one or two times I got out of the temple. I tried this like 10 times. I got out of the temple maybe once or twice. And I had tried so hard to get out of the temple that once I got out, I panicked and I was like, I don't know where to go. And then they just killed me. I couldn't do that. So I had to go through the dialogue, and you have to have basically done all the side quests and you have to exhaust the dialogue, but you have to do it in the right order. So you have to ask him for the story of what's going on here first, which he'll tell you, which is really cool. I really love this explanation for what's going on. Yeah. That he is, so he's a god. Proserpina is also a god. They made a deal with Jupiter that if a human city can live without sin for 1 year, Jupiter is like the Zeus of Roman mythology, that humans would be allowed into Elysium, which is the good place in the underworld, right?
Yeah.
Not in Hades, it's not. That fucking place in Hades is brutal. But in the mythology, it's the good place where all the decorated warriors go and live.
Okay.
So they make this deal because they've taken on a human form to go to Earth and kind of live amongst the people, etc.
Yeah.
But by doing that, they lock themselves out of, the places that only gods can access. So they made this deal that if a human city can live without sin for a year, then they can go back, basically. Proserpina can go back. And that Pluto/Hades, the god you're talking to, is keeping Proserpina in this suspended animation against her will, which is why she's been trying to help you break out. And if you tell him this, if you say like, hey, she's been talking to me this whole time, he freaks out and you lose.
Oh, okay. That's when the battle.
Yeah, that's
commences?
when the battle begins.
Okay.
And then I'm like, she's like, break the glass. And I was like, okay, but I couldn't do it. So I had to keep trying the boss battle, and I needed a guide to get to the end. It's really difficult. So I kind of simplified it, but it's a really long and really cool conversation. Did you enjoy just getting this kind of the answers to all your questions, basically?
Yeah, basically, it was cool to like that they kind of laid it all out, like what the whole point of the game is, or really what the whole point of the golden rule is, and like you feel like you kind of feel for him too, because he's like trying to save her. He's trying to like let her like, look, you're a god, and then you're trying to be human. Like she fell for these like primitive life forms, and he's like, she's not really thinking straight. And at the same time, like you also understand her point is like, like we can't be just ruling over these people. Like, we have to experience life the way they do, or whatever it is. And she's fallen for, humans and their nature, so to speak. And that push and pull between the two of them, and like their ideals was interesting. For sure.
So he basically just made an executive decision and just locked her up. And was saying like, no, we're going to do this my way. So so what I like about this too is that this experiment has been going on for a long time through all different cultures through time, starting with the Sumerians and then the Egyptians, and they failed. They couldn't do it for a whole year. And then the Greeks couldn't do it. Now we're on the Romans. Assuming our character never came along, the Romans surely wouldn't have been able to do it. And then it would have been on, whoever came after them. The Ottoman Empire. Again, history. I don't know shit about history, but
whatever. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
The Vikings. I don't know. They certainly wouldn't have made it a year without sinning, but,
no.
So that's why he's ruling with this, iron fist, golden rule, golden fist. That would have been better wordplay. So that's why he's doing it. And then the second part of it is trying to convince him to take the golden rule away. And there's a bunch of different ways that your character tries. And like you said, he just swats all of them down.
Yeah. And
one thing I really like is that he kind of gets kind of childish when you kind of catch him in something and you're like, this is actually like breaking the golden rule. You've been overlooking this the whole time. Yeah. You're trying to get him to like admit that this experiment's not perfect and that it could never succeed. But if you point out, like, hey, Odysseus is like holding out, letting people die for profit. Isn't that breaking the golden rule? And he's kind of like, yeah, it is actually. Would you like me to just count that as breaking the golden rule and everyone's going to die? And you're like, whoa, I didn't mean that. Sorry, bud.
Let's back up.
Yeah. This conversation was fascinating, I thought.
Yeah. It was a cool way to end the game, so to speak. I mean, there's a little bit more that happens. Yeah, obviously not really in terms of progression, but there's the canon ending happens and all that stuff, which is neat.
Yeah,
but yeah, like it reminded me a bit of the first Doctor Strange and the fight that he has with Dormammu. It wasn't really a fight, right? Like it was just him kind of like essentially doing a time loop, and then convincing him like to eventually yield, right?
Yeah.
So I apologize if you didn't watch that.
No, I did watch it, but I watched it. I watched it when it first came out, so it's been a long time.
Yeah. It's just stuck to me because it was like it wasn't a normal like Marvel brawl with the bad guy kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was just different, which I appreciated, and kind of what I appreciated with this game too.
Yeah.
It's just like you're trying to match wits with essentially a god.
Yeah.
And you kind of fail, but like at the same like, and then you got to get that help from others to beat him. So
yeah. Or if you're not able to do the Proserpina's crown thing like me, there is a way to get through it through strictly dialogue. And so what you have to do is you have to convince him that the deal is unfair because humans will never make it a year without sinning. And basically all through the dialogue boss battle, there are lots of options where he counters by saying like, that doesn't matter because humans are beneath me, and so part of winning the dialogue boss battle is getting him to admit that he and Jupiter made a mistake. And then he kind of freaks out. He's like, I can't make a mistake. I'm a god. And it's like, actually that's like the most human thing there is to make a mistake. So by doing this, you're not better than humans. And then he freaks out and he's like, well, I can't have this. This will not stand. And then you have to, after that, you have to convince him that like, no, it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. That's like everyone here that's in the underworld is making mistakes. It's a perfectly natural thing to do. And once you convince him of that, you can convince him that like the golden rule was a mistake. This deal was a mistake and that it should be abolished. And it's really hard. It takes the perfect answers. You have to exhaust all the dialogue and answer everything correctly. And it's a lot. And I've done some dialogue boss battles in my time, and this is one of the hardest ones. It requires a lot of you. And I think that talk with the philosopher down, under the city kind of prepares you for this a little bit, with him talking to you about like, he asks you a bunch of questions about like, do you know what it is to sin? Do you know the difference between right and wrong? And then he gets into the philosopher thing of like, okay, how do you know that you know? And how do you know that you know that you know? And stuff like that. But it's really cool way to end the game. Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I felt like the actual ending definitely like in a way it paid off because you had closure with everyone.
Yeah.
Essentially, which was nice.
Yeah. So speaking of, so after he abolishes the golden rule, you get paradoxed out of there and you go talk to Karen again. And you get another tablet and it has more kind of thanks from everybody. And now you go to this museum at the end. So you did this, right? You went to the museum.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What did you think about this? I thought it was real weird when it started, but I'll get your thoughts.
Yeah, it definitely was strange, but I guess it pulled it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what happens is they pull everyone to your timeline or like to your
Which
so
is
then
weird.
yeah, like so I don't know if now the weird thing to me is like, do they live out their lives in Roman time and then live all the way to your present day, or do they get plopped in present day and then because like the reason why I asked that is there's a lot of the DVD thing is. That makes sense.
Yeah. They get moved to your time just straight from, because by I guess him, the god Hades, whatever, shutting down the experiment, abolishing the golden rule, it just kind of closes that. And in the real world, it's your time. So everyone gets moved up to your time.
Okay. No, because a lot of them have kind of embraced their life in this new timeline already, and it's like, so I thought that was pretty interesting that they were able to kind of quickly get up to speed.
Yeah, that was the only thing where I was like, they're not really accounting for any amount of culture shock or anything. I mean, they've traveled 2,000 years into the future. Even if there's a magic thing that makes them all speak English, like,
right,
surely they would have had some difficulties with it. And I think it's a year later that you go to the museum, a year after Karen takes you back into the world of the living. But still, everyone seems really well adjusted, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting also that now I'm thinking about why were you like held on for another year?
It's you go outside, you meet Al, and then like a year later, I don't know if Al or like the other people have put this exhibit together in the museum, and you just get an invitation to go meet them all. It's not like you got held back in time a year. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, so you get to see all your buds.
Yeah. That's cool. Then you kind of catch up with them and see what they've been up to. And it's fun. It's fun to just see, like, I wish that they left Decius there, but you know, he's there, but at least you kind of get one more over him.
Yeah.
With like, you know, invest in DVDs.
Yeah, I told him to invest in DVD rentals. Yeah.
So good.
That was cool. Sentius is still in the underworld as the that means that the underworld didn't close. They just took the people out and put them into the land of the living. But that kind of underworld scenario is still there, and Sentius is the last golden statue down there. So that sucks for him.
He got his comeuppance.
He did, yes. This ending was kind of, I like these kind of endings where you see all your buddies one last time, you know, in games or whatever. This one was kind of bittersweet because none of them remember you. They just know of you. They know that you're the person who helped them escape, but they don't remember anything that you did together because you've been time looping this whole time, which makes sense, but it is kind of, I wanted to meet up with Galerius, and, you know, he's like, Dave, and I'm like, Galerius, and a big hug and stuff like that. But no, they just kind of know that you're the one who did it. They don't remember anything else about you.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned this in your notes here. I thought you did. When you get to the end, you see everyone at the bottom kind of clapping for you, and it's
big crowd down there. Yeah,
it's everyone that was a golden statue, which is pretty cool.
That was cool. That was like a nice little moment where I was like, yeah, I did it. You know? Yeah. That was real cool.
I didn't realize that the pile of bones in front of the portal was the magistrate, though.
Yeah.
Kind of going back.
Yeah. If you follow him to the portal, and you follow him closely, you'll see him get disintegrated into a pile of bones.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Okay. And I didn't mention this before. If someone's listening this far, surely you've played the game or you don't care to, but Proserpina was the one who taught him how to do that time portal magic, basically. Taught him like the incantation to do that. And there's like the stipulation is that like he has to die in order to open up this portal, but it doesn't matter because it's a time loop. He can do this as many times as he wants to. But it is cool. You do see him like basically get reduced to bones in a second. It's cool.
Yeah. I guess I didn't wait long enough or look at him, but I guess that's the other thing that's kind of cool about this game. Like if you just kind of wait around, sometimes some conversations loop and whatnot, but you can kind of get clued in on everyone and their situations too. So
yeah, it's not just the dialogue when people are talking to you. It's, you know, the conversations that they're having. I like a lot of the dialogue that happens in that bar. Yeah. In the slums. There's an achievement for getting rejected by the the bartender.
Oh,
She comes up to you and she's like, I love your clothes. And if you try to hit on her right away, she'll be like, oh, and then you get an achievement. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. She's a horrible person too.
Yeah.
But not because she rejected you, but because
no, it's because she tells you that she knows a way out, and then if you pay for it, she'll just be like, I don't remember what she says, but it's bullshit, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the Forgotten City. That was is a really enjoyable game. Fun to kind of recount the experiences here with it with you, dude. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah. Oh, this was fun. I wish I could play longer games. Maybe, I don't know. I'll try and find another game that I will try to finish.
I will try to find a game for you that takes an hour or less to complete.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
That'll be fun.
As someone who, for the way the show works, has to beat 3 games a month, I appreciate an hour-long game too. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you once again, man. Thanks everybody for listening, and tune in next week for the next game that comes out of the backlog.